Hello. Excuse me. It feels like it's been a while, because it kind of has been a while. I haven't recorded a video in about 3 weeks, and that's not for any particular reason. I've just been very busy in general with family stuff, work stuff, and kind of some not not mental in a bad way, kind of clearing my mind of stuff, and not that that's like a particularly active thing, but it's kind of, I don't know, an ongoing process. And so therefore I haven't probably been in the right frame of mind to record a video. I also haven't stepped foot inside a secondhand shop to buy any CDs in about 3 or 4 weeks since that last video I made, whatever, I went through all those at the end of January. On the weekend, me and my son were out and about in the city, and I just kind of popped into a few of the music shops in the city, or 2 of them, just to have a very quick look, but didn't buy anything. But today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Instead of looking at CDs, because I'm all CD'd out at the moment, I thought I'd look at what's in here. And this is, before you can see, this is a tin that used to hold Bassett's Jelly Babies. Now, I remember I got this for Christmas, probably when I was about 15, in my mid-teens. And like I said, inside it would have Jelly Babies. And I always kept the tin because I liked the design. It's quite cute, I thought. And so I've kept in here various tickets and things over the years. Now, it's a mixture of music events and non-music events. So I'm just going to go through not all of them, and just pick out some of them. Some of these are recent and some of them are not recent. Some of them are very old. A lot of them are not very recent because nowadays you don't get tickets anymore, do you? I've been to 3 live concerts in the past 3 years, and I have not received a physical ticket for any of them. I have the receipt on my Ticketek or Ticketmaster account that shows past shows that you attended, but I haven't, you don't get physical tickets anymore, generally speaking. I'm sure you can. You could print them out, I guess, but that kind of seems just like doing it for the sake of doing it, whereas I'd rather just kind of have the actual ticket. I kind of miss the ticket thing. Anyway, let's go through some of these. This first thing here is from 2014, I believe. When I was living in South Korea, I went to a music festival. It was a 2-day music festival, but I only went for 1 day, called City Break. This was my 2nd year of attending. And you can see you got this bracelet, the City Break. That says Hyundai card, because Hyundai, as you know, if you live in America or Europe or whatever, you probably think of Hyundai or Hyundai, some people pronounce it, as a car company. Quite a successful car company in this day and age. But if you go to Korea, these companies like Hyundai and Samsung, they are everywhere, and they don't just make the things that you're used to, such as Hyundai also has a credit card. I think they also have insurance, like Hyundai Insurance. They have like health insurance. They have a shipbuilding arm. They build apartments. On and on. Anyway, they were the sponsor for this particular thing. It was in September, 8th to the 9th. I think they do it that way, which was the Saturday. No, it wouldn't have been September. It would have been August, because it was during my summer holidays, I remember. Anyway, this is not really important. The reason I went to this, there was 2 main reasons, and the 2... So I got a music voucher. I never actually used it. It's all in Korean, so I didn't understand what it would anyway. But in Korea, everything is very very app-based. Well, I guess it's app-based everywhere nowadays, but there even more so. So I would assume that's to download some music online or something like that. That's another. Oh, that's the drinking bracelet. Get Drunk, Asahi, which is a Japanese beer, but anyway. Hyundai City Break 2014. This is the map of the event. It was held at, was it the Olympic Stadium? No, it wasn't the Olympic Stadium, it was the World Cup Stadium. So, you know, in 2002, the FIFA World Cup was held in Japan and South Korea. They kind of had a joint holding. And, you know, they also had the Olympics in Seoul in 1988. And other huge, you know, big sporting festivals, sporting events. And so they have a lot of big stadiums, they're huge stadiums. And I think this one was held at the World Cup Stadium in Seoul. But I didn't actually live in Seoul. I lived in the far, far south of South Korea, right on the southwest corner. And I had to travel up to Seoul. By train, it's only about 3 hours. And I stayed in a hotel, I remember. So anyway, who can we see was playing? So this was a 2-day thing. I went day one. Day one, Coco Bat. So there's all these Korean acts here. I'm not going to go through them. The Neighborhood, Spiritualized, Nell, she's Korean, or he's Korean. Hoobastank, Psy, remember him, Gangnam Style, Deftones, and Ozzy Osbourne. So can you guess what I went and saw? I didn't get there until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Actually, it was probably more like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, because I remember I didn't wait very long at all. The only 2 acts I saw were Deftones and Ozzy. Psy, I would pay money not to see. Hoobastank, I don't like them enough to see them in concert, even though it was basically I paid for the ticket and I could have gone. Excuse me, my nose is a bit runny. I didn't. Now, as Korean music, I'm not interested. The Neighborhood, I don't know who that is. I've heard the name, but I don't know. Coco Bat, I have no idea. Spiritualized, I assume was that British act. That was Jason, what was his name? From Spaceman 3, I think was his former brand. It's kind of like a Ladies and Gentlemen, We Are Floating in Space, that album. I'm pretty sure it's that act. Regardless, I didn't go and see them. But I did see Deftones. The Deftones were awesome. You can see they played for 1 hour and 10 minutes. They played on the smaller stage. They didn't play the super stage, which was inside the stadium. They played on the culture stage, which was outside the stadium. Still a pretty decent size, you know, area for people to stand. So if that's the stage there, I was about that close, about where the S is of the stage, very vaguely. I'd seen Deftones twice before when I was younger. They played a pretty good set. 2014, so that would have been post Diamond Eyes and Koi no Yokan, pre-Gore. So yeah, it would have been just after Koi no Yokan. No, Koi no Yokan coming out in 2012, so it was about 2 years after Koi no Yokan. So anyway, what else have I got in here? The Deftones played. They played a pretty decent set. Sergio Vega was on bass. That's the ticket, you know, the actual physical ticket that they ripped. That was my phone number. So in Korea, your phone number is tied to everything. It's like in America, you have a social security number. It kind of ties together everything. Well, in Korea, it's your phone number. I can't express how intertwined your phone account and your phone number is tied to every action you do, like dealing with the tax office or hospitals or employment, like work stuff. It's all comes through your bloody phone, and it's all linked to your phone. And so yes, the ticket is linked to my phone as well. The Deftones played a pretty good set, and then at the end of the set, what's the drummer's name? Abe Cunningham threw his drumsticks, and one just flew over my head. I was really close to jumping up and grabbing the drumstick, which I would have loved to got a drumstick. But what I did get was a Steph Carpenter guitar pick. This flew And it kind of like there was open space around me. So one thing about Korean concerts is that they don't, at least the concerts I went to, they don't jam in as tightly as I've found at Western concerts, when I've been to concerts in Western countries. You always have a bit of a room around you. You know, when you go to, I've been to concerts before, especially in the 90s when I was young, and kind of before they put safety features into the venues, where you have those human wave things where everyone's so packed in that if one part of the crowd kind of leans forward, it kind of is like a wave of motion through the whole crowd, and you have no control of it. You're kind of getting moved around like you're in, like getting by a riptide in the ocean. And you can't move. You're so tightly packed in like a sardine that you just cannot move. Well, at the concert I went to in Korea, even though I saw some pretty big acts, it really wasn't like that. You had kind of room to kind of move, you know, to swing a cat or something like that. And so when this went flying through the air and I saw it land in the grass, I wasn't staring at a forest of legs and feet. I could quite clearly see it sitting in the grass. So I dove down, not like dramatically dove, but I was like, it was kind of unbelievable that it was so close to me and no one else had seen it. And I went yoink and took it. And I have Steph Carpenter's guitar pick. Tortex is the brand he uses. That's his, I assume, his signature. And this is from the 2K12 End of the World tour. Obviously, he's still using it in 2014. He uses the little guy there, smoking with a kind of a stoned look. And if you know anything about Steph Carpenter, you'll know that smoking that stuff is a big part of his life and his identity, to the point where I think it's kind of scrambled his brain. And I'm not the first person to say that. I've heard Chino say the same thing. The reason why he thinks Steph Carpenter has come out with some pretty wild conspiracy theories over the years. Like he's like a flat earther. He's scared to go on planes because of that. He really, the whole COVID thing, you can imagine, you know, where he fell on that, and other things over the years I've heard him say. So Chino Moreno, the singer of Deftones, he says the reason he thinks why Steph is so paranoid and kind of open to conspiracy theories is because of his overuse of cannabis. Ozzy, after they played, Ozzy was also great. And I'm really happy that I got to see Ozzy Osbourne when he was still able to perform. Because this was 11 years ago, which you think, well, 11 years is quite long ago. But within those 11 years, he has kind of gradually deteriorated to the point where now, obviously, he hasn't performed since I think 2019 was the last time he performed. He performed at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. But that was like a... clearly lip syncing. But I think as an actual kind of performance with a band, I don't think he has performed since pre-COVID. He had that big tour planned for 2020, which I think was meant to be his retirement tour. But obviously COVID happened, and then he went through some health problems with that. He had a bad fall. I think he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which has kind of progressed quite rapidly. And so you may have seen that they're planning that big Black Sabbath event in England later this year, with a whole bunch of band, like kind of like all of the luminaries of modern rock music from the 90s and 2000s, and even some of the earlier ones. So like, think of rock musicians and metal musicians from that period, and they're all kind of getting together and having some kind of like event, like a live performance. I don't know exactly what it is. There's so many names involved. They're obviously not all playing a set. I would guess it's almost like a tribute thing while they're all still alive, the Black Sabbath guys. I think that's a really good idea to kind of give them this huge tribute and a chance to kind of play together, maybe only a couple of songs, because Ozzy isn't well. Apparently he can't perform while standing now. He's going to have to perform seated. So my point is, I'm glad that I got to see him not necessarily in his prime or anywhere near his prime, 2014, but still able to give a 2-hour performance, or however long it was, an hour and a half performance, 100 minutes it says. The next day I didn't go because Maroon 5, again, I'd rather pay money not to see them. New Found Glory, no interest whatsoever. Richie Sambora, not really any interest whatsoever. Lupe Fiasco, as far as hip hop goes, I actually quite like Lupe Fiasco. He's got quite a few songs that I like, but I wouldn't sit through or stand through one of his concerts. E-Jock, I don't know. Pentatonics, not interested. Loco Frank, I don't know. I don't know any of those Korean, or they might not all be Korean acts. I'm pretty sure they are Korean acts though, even the ones that are like 13 steps. But anyway, so that was a pretty great concert, even though I only saw 2 acts. They were 2 acts that I absolutely love. The Deftones are one of my favorite bands. Ozzy Osbourne is one of the greatest, most influential figures in rock music and metal music ever. I would have loved to have seen with Black Sabbath, or even remnants of Black Sabbath, with Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler or Bill Ward, but you can't have everything. What else? What's this one? Okay, this is a lot of these are going to be Korean ones, but that's okay. This is another Korean music festival. This was 2018. This is called Incheon Pentaport Rock Festival. Think again, this is a 2-day thing from memory. I only went 1 day, and I basically only went to see 1 act, although I did catch the end of another act. What do we got here? We got, I guess this was the bracelet. Yes, 1 day. So it was more than 1 day. So if they give, say 1 day, it means it's a 2 or 3 day festival. Again, this is August. This is during my summer holiday when I was working in Korea on a Saturday. Incheon is kind of an area, well, if you've been to Korea, you probably flew into Incheon Airport. But Incheon is, how can you describe it? It's kind of like Tokyo is. Seoul is so developed and built up that the space between cities has completely filled in. So when you drive from Seoul to Incheon, it's constant, dense urban development the whole way. So there's no line where you're going from city to countryside and then to city again. It's just city the whole way. And so all those kind of areas around Seoul, like Gimpo, Incheon, Suwon, lots of other places around Gyeonggi-do, it's all kind of one mega city. And that's the case with Incheon. So I stayed again. I came up, I caught a train up to stay, and I stayed at an airport, stayed at a hotel nearby. Wasn't in Incheon, but near, I was like 2 stations away from Incheon. This looks like it's kind of the ticket holder. Is it? Yes, and there's the ticket. Again, with a phone number. Kukmin Card, Star Shop. So Kukmin Card is a credit card, isn't it? These things are all bloody sponsored by credit cards, doesn't it? So you show your physical ticket. I'm sure you could have done it with your phone if you needed to. I've got the, whatever this is. Oh, so they actually gave me a card. Oh, I think this is another thing that actually drove me a bit crazy sometimes in Korea. When you went to an event, you had to buy their card. Like, it's like when you go to Disneyland, you got to buy bloody Disney bucks or whatever. You got to buy the card, and everything you buy at the event, you buy using the credit you put on their card. So if I wanted a bottle of water, I couldn't just fucking hand over a couple of dollars or a couple of won. I had to put credit on the card, then swipe the card, and that's how I would pay for it. And so they make money, because at the end of the night, you always got bloody credit left on your card, don't you? You never use the full balance, and there's usually a minimum amount you can put on it. I remember I put money on it because I was planning to buy a t-shirt of the band I went to see. Who was the band I went to see? Okay, this was a 3-day. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I only went on the the Saturday. And who was playing? Who did I go to see? One of my favorite bands. I just said the Deftones is one of my favorite bands, but these guys are absolutely one of my favorite bands of all time, 9 Inch Nails. I went basically exclusively to see 9 Inch Nails. I saw a little bit of Mike Shinoda, the end of his set, but not really interested in seeing Mike Shinoda sans Linkin Park. To be honest, I wouldn't be that excited to see Linkin Park, especially nowadays. But anyway, I saw 9 Inch Nails, and I was really close to the stage. This is a map of this, obviously it's just like a cartoon, so it doesn't, but if that's the stage, I was like one row back. There was the people against the fence, and then I was behind them. And again, I was not squished in. Like, of course it's busy and there's lots of people all around you and it's hard to get in and out and all that, but you're nowhere near as squished as any concert event I experienced in New Zealand or any other country I went to. So yeah, I'd been planning to buy a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt. That's why I put credit on that card. Should have checked first. Got to the merch stand and everything had gone. And the guy there said, yeah, the stuff disappeared like 8 hours ago. And me after, like, because I got there quite late. Their set time was 9 o'clock, I think, 9 p.m. 9:30. I got there at the earliest 8:30. And he said stuff had been disappeared since lunchtime. So I was like, oh, bummer. But so you can see some of the other things I have here. The Bloody Beetroots. I said Mike Shinoda, the Cox, don't know who they are, Crossfaith, Marion Hill. A lot of Korean acts. On the Friday, looks like it was mostly all Korean acts. On the Sunday, which I didn't go to, what are they there? Hoobastank again. I just realized they're like following me around. Star Sailor, no thanks, and My Bloody Valentine. I wouldn't have minded seeing My Bloody Valentine, to be honest, but I'm not familiar enough with their stuff to pay for a whole other day of, because this wasn't cheap. Festivals aren't cheap. Even if you're just going for the one day, still well over $100. I can't remember, and for 2 days it would have been probably over $200. So I didn't go. If they were playing the same night as the 9 Inch Nails, I probably would have come earlier to see them or stayed later to see them. They only played a 70-minute set, which is interesting. 9 Inch Nails played 90 minutes. It was a brilliant concert. They played a cross-section of their whole career. Like I said, I was super close to the stage, super close to Trent and the band. Robin, the guitarist. Who else was there? It was Alessandro Cortini is in the band. And who's Ilan Rubin, I think is the name of the drummer. Who else is in the band? Is it just those guys? There's one more person, I think. The band changes a lot. But at that stage, that's who was in the band. I like so much stuff on 9 Inch Nails throughout the career that it's kind of hard for me to expect them to play every song I would like them to play, but I wasn't disappointed in any way by their set. I remember they played kind of what I expected, the hits like Wish or March the Pigs or Closer and things like that, but they also played a decent amount of deep cuts, some recent stuff but not too much, some old stuff, but kind of like a real good across the board. They also did a cover. He talked about David Bowie, because this is 2018. 18 or 19? Sorry, 2019. No, 18. Jeez. And so David Bowie had only been dead 2 years. 2 years? Yes, 2 years. And obviously Trent and David Bowie were relatively close. They worked together. They made music together. I think they were kind of friends for a while. And certainly Trent Reznor has spoken extensively about his love of Bowie's work and of him as a person and how influential he was and so on. he played a cover, and I can't for the right life of me remember what it was. It wasn't I'm Afraid of Americans, which is a song he did together with Bowie. It wasn't like a big hit like Life on Mars or anything like that. It was kind of like at the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite. Anyway, it's not really that important. But such a great show, such a brilliant show. I'm so happy to see them. I've seen them before. How many years? 18 years prior. I saw them in January of the year 2000 at the Big Day Out Festival in 2000, when they just released The Fragile. And if this was one of my favorite concerts I went to, that set they played at that festival in 2000 was also one of the favorite concerts I've went to, for many reasons. Anyway, so that's another festival concert show that I went to in Korea. I've already been speaking for 26 minutes, so I might show one more thing and then make another video another time about some of the other things, other tickets, maybe some of the older stuff, because I didn't realize I was going to be yapping so much. And so you're going to get this like lanyard thing. You can see it for both of those. They give you like a lanyard. City Break 2014. Pentapork Incheon Rock Festival 2018. What was this? I think, no, actually, this was just on top. So I've got a feeling that was Tom York, the most recent concert I went to, but I'm not 100% on that. I talked about that concert. I saw that in October last year, 2024, Tom York's solo concert where he played a retrospective from across his career, from all the projects he's been involved in, Radiohead, Solo, Smile, Uncle, other bits and pieces, and it was truly amazing. I keep kind of saying the best or the greatest, but as I get older, it's harder to enjoy live music in the same way as you do when you're young. And I've talked about this before. You enjoy it in a different way, but that was so viscerally beautiful and emotionally affecting that even now, however many months later, 1, 2, 3 months, or over almost 4 months later, it I still have that same kind of feeling, kind of like tingles and the awe, and that might part of that could just be to do with that doesn't take away. I was going to say part of that might just be to my own kind of feelings towards Tom York's music, and that it wasn't like that objectively, but well, who cares really? If that's how I felt, that's how I felt, and it was just amazing. I'm so glad that I got to go to it with my wife. Another one relatively recent, which I actually talked about, this was last year as well, and I wrote it on here so I wouldn't forget, because if it just looks like this, how the hell would I know what that is? My stupid brain would forget within about 2 days. It was the Mr. Bungle Show 2024, which they played at the Auckland Town Hall almost a year ago, March 2024, just under a year ago. Touring the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. Was that the name of that EP they re-released? Kind of thrash metal, kind of very, Mr. Bungle's known for kind of doing all sorts of different things. Every album is kind of vastly different from the last. Well, from what the last Mr. Bungle album we heard in 1999, California, and then like almost a 2-decade break, they come back with a re-recording of the mid-80s thrash metal album demo. But it was a great concert. Scott Ian from Anthrax, Dave Lombardo from Slayer, Trey Spruance, obviously originally from Bungle, but also played with Faith No More for a time. Trevor Dunn from Bungle, but also from Fantomas, Tomahawk, various other acts. And the Melvins opened for them. So a pretty amazing concert, really. seeing all that together. How much kind of like star power can you have in one room? But it delivered, because I was really of two minds whether I was going to go to this concert. Because as much as I love Mr. Bungle, the album, the Raging Wrath of Easter Bunny, didn't really, it's very one-dimensional, kind of that 80s thrash. And I would have been a first day ticket buyer if they were playing stuff off Disco Volante or their first album, or off California, even more so. But they weren't. If you looked at the set lists they were doing in Australia and other places before they were touring, they were just doing. But it was pretty awesome. They also did some covers like "Hopelessly Devoted to You" by Olivia Newton-John, "True" by Spandau Ballet. The fucking best cover they did was "Territory" by Sepultura. That was amazing. But just a great concert. Again, so happy that I went. One more. What is this? So this is the problem. Oh no, okay. Another city break. This was from 2013. Now, I wonder if I've got the other bits and pieces. You can see I got a physical ticket. City Break 19, so that's the 19th version of the event, but it was from 2013. Again, August 2013. You're seeing a pattern here that I'm getting watching the same concerts at the same time. Was this it? What the hell was that? Oh no, that's a different one. Okay, I thought I had kind of like another, like a map or a booklet. Doesn't matter. This was a 2-day festival, and for this one I actually did go for 2 days. See if there's anything different on this that says I'm a 2-day person. No. Does this say 2 days? Maybe that. 2il1. I think 2il1 maybe means 2 days, because this was 200,000 won. So that's about 230 New Zealand dollars, which is about 115-ish American dollars, which maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to you, but for me, that is a lot to pay for a concert, especially 12 years ago. Nowadays, I guess that kind of seems normal, doesn't it? You can see I bought this in May. So I bought this June, July. I bought this 3 months in advance. And the headliners were, on the Saturday night, Muse, who I'd never seen live before. And on the Sunday night, Metallica, who I had seen live before. There were other bands playing on the Saturday night. I saw Rocket from the Crypt, Iggy and the Stooges, before the Ashton brothers, or both of them, or one of them. Certainly Scott Ashton's dead. Before they died, or he died, I saw them play with Iggy. And Limp Bizkit. Very strange seeing Limp Bizkit. I've talked about this before, so I'm going to be repeating myself, but that's okay. This was at the Olympic Stadium. So the Olympic Stadium in Seoul is huge, because most Olympic stadiums around the world are. They're kind of purpose-built for this massive events, track and field, the opening and closing ceremony. So there's this huge stadium. Metallica and Muse, and they played the main stages, but Limp Bizkit were kind of out on this side stage outside the stadium on kind of like a field, which I thought they could have actually probably done better in the stadium. I think they would have pulled a decent enough crowd inside the stadium on the bigger stage, but regardless, they played in the late afternoon, early evening. And 2013, when Limp Bizkit were at their peak, around Significant Other and Hot Dog Flavored Water, I would say I was kind of a fan of theirs. As embarrassing as that might be to admit, I don't really care. I like lots of embarrassing music. I saw them live in the year 2001. They put on an amazing concert. So this was 12 years later, and by this stage, Limp Bizkit were kind of considered a joke, weren't they? They went through a period of kind of being the most hated band and mocked, and Fred Durst was despised and kind of seen as a joke, and And so I was kind of surprised to see them on the list for bands playing. And I wanted to get a decent standing position for Muse. So I was going to get to that area early, but I thought, well, I can check out a little bit of Limp Bizkit before I go over there. And so that's what I did. I kind of the first half of the Limp Bizkit set. They played, from what I saw, a really good set. Really high energy, just as high energy as they were when I saw them in 2001. Wes Borland was in the band, because I know he kind of comes in and out through the years, but he was in the band at this time. And I've talked about this one particular memory I have of, like I said, it was kind of late afternoon, early evening. The sun was just kind of starting to set, and the kind of sky was colored, that kind of pink, orangey sometimes you get with sunsets, very beautiful. And they played the song My Way, which is kind of the one song of theirs that I've always thought held up. A lot of their songs is kind of the lyrical content and stuff, especially, but even just the music itself is a little bit embarrassing, kind of very, almost like moronic. But also, you can still understand why people liked it. But I thought that song My Way always kind of held up over the years. And so they played that. And I remember kind of the sun was setting behind the stage, and there was this kind of like really beautiful atmosphere. And especially in that song, in the middle, the kind of the bridge section, it's kind of this instrumental, kind of jazzy bass line with the guitar chords over it. If you've heard that song, you know what I'm talking about. Before it kind of kicks in again, before the last chorus kicks in. And I remember kind of feeling a little bit, as embarrassing as this is to admit, a little bit like emotional, because it's kind of like beautiful part of the song. The sun was setting. Limp Bizkit were kind of like a symbol of my youth, and now here I was, many years later, in a foreign country, at a particularly happy time of my life. Everything kind of felt positive and good, and I was just kind of like, kind of one of those short moments where everything feels right in the universe. And that's how I felt for that second. And, sometimes you don't need deeply profound music to give you those moments. Sometimes it can be even a band like Limp Bizkit. And so for that reason, among many others, I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Limp Bizkit. As much as some people despise them still and kind of say they're like a joke and they hate this and that and Fred Durst is this and that, they always have a special place in my heart. Muse played after that. To be honest, I don't have a huge number of memories about the Muse thing. I remember it was good. I enjoyed it. I was quite far back from the stage though, because it was such a massive arena or stadium they were playing in. There was only so far forward you could get. And Muse are quite popular in Korea. They played all the songs I wanted to play. I mean, they played Nights of Sidonia. They played Bliss. They played Survive or Survival. What's that song? The one that they wrote for the Olympics, the 2012 Olympics in London. Newborn, Plug-in Baby. I'm kind of just naming the singles here, but they are often the songs that I like the most with Muse. They didn't play Black Star, I remember, which I would like. Did they play Stockholm Syndrome? They might not have played Stockholm. No, actually, I think they did. I remember they also played the Korean national anthem, which is kind of like a shtick that Matt Bellamy has. He learns the basic kind of, chords or whatever of the national anthem of the country's in, and he learns the kind of the main lines and kind of sings it. And he was singing it in Korean, I remember, and the crowd really lapped that up, as you can imagine. Good show. The next day I came back later the next day because the only band I wanted to see was Metallica. Whereas for the previous day, I'd come a bit earlier to see Iggy and the Stooges, Rocket from the Crypt, Limp Bizkit, etc. But I came later just because I wanted to see Metallica and only Metallica. Got a decent spot, but it wasn't super close because they had this kind of D barrier you know, to kind of, in those huge stadiums, to prevent the crowd crush, like I was explaining before, those kinds of mass movements of people where you have no control of what's happening and people can get injured very badly. They put these kind of barriers to separate the parts of the crowd so that it's not just a constant pressure of people. And so the D barrier up the front, which is where I wanted to be, they were restricting entry. They would only let a certain capacity in that close. But I was close enough. They played a great show. It's a Metallica show. You know, for the last 15, maybe even 20 years, Metallica, I see post Saint Anger, Metallica's been pretty dialed in live. They put on a pretty decent live show with the limitations that they have, i.e. Lars's drumming, James's vocals sometimes, although that's kind of wax and wanes. He kind of has periods of being pretty awful, but then periods of where it's sounding pretty good. So, but that's Metallica. That's part of Metallica. Lars's drumming is as much a part of Metallica as Hetfield's master downward picking. So you take what you get, I guess. You know, that's Metallica. But they played, as they always do, a kind of greatest hits compilation of, you know, of albums from Kill 'Em All up to Reload, because they played their Memory Remains, I remember that, which is from Reload. They didn't play anything from Saint Anger, surprisingly, or Death Magnetic. This was pre-Hardwired to Self-Destruct, so obviously nothing from that. But nothing from... I don't think anything from Death Magnetic. There may have been one song, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. It was all from the first 5 plus Load and Reload. Maybe the Mission Impossible theme that they did with I Disappear. But anyway, great show. A Metallica show. I'm always happy to see Metallica. Metallica are actually playing a concert here in New Zealand later this year in November at a stadium at Eden Park, which is the biggest stadium in the country. But tickets sold out within the day they were put on sale, and so I missed out. But the prices really deterred me from going anyway. Even for nosebleed seats, they were hundreds of dollars. You know, way up the top of the stadium. I've seen them multiple times. I'm kind of satisfied that I don't need to see Metallica again. If someone gave me a free ticket, I'd go, of course, but no one's going to give me a free ticket. So anyway, that's just some of the stuff I've got. I've talked for almost 45 minutes here. It's way too long, but I will do another video showing or the rest of the stuff because I wanted to go through all of it. But I talk too much sometimes, and so we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.